At first it was like a pinch, the thorn. A little hardship that I prevailed and sailed straight through it. Meanwhile, others jumped and found temporary relief in the waters of unbelief, but I remained faithful. I leveled my stern and my bows, so I was stern when I bowed and worshipped him through the storm. The thorn grew, and so did my faith. Awkward in the beginning, kind of like puberty, but soon I grew into the spiritual body that was now new creation, adjusted to a bolder voice that wasn't present when my faith was prepubescent, to skin that thickened when it came to resisting sin, and a consistent craving to taste the goodness of God. I felt prepared for whatever was to come. But when the thorn took on a different form in my flesh, I conformed to a familiar place of unrighteousness, found refuge in disobedience, and struggled to believe the things I read because it didn't make sense. That the very things I begged God to take away made his power even more perfect in my weakness. But honestly, what does that even mean? It means that when I said yes to Jesus, I said yes to suffering. Yes, to living like an outcast on earth so I wouldn't be cast out of heaven, to being judged for my convictions because I no longer agreed with the lifestyles of those I used to sit with in the jury seat. Yes, to no longer being invited to places that didn't honor his presence, partying in vain with people who struggled to part from their pain. They're dancing in chains, calling it freedom when it's really restraint, because sin can only be broken when you call on his name. I've come to understand that persecution is a promise, not a possibility. That you will become accustomed to conflict and daily debates between spirit and flesh, but as you work out your salvation, weights will be lifted off your chest and you will bench press the burdens you once struggled to carry and rest in the comfort of the cross. So don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade my salvation for anyone or anything. But I would hate to lie and tell you that being a Christian means opting for more blessings and less battles without the two ever crossing paths. That sometimes your only bullet is an open Bible, and that prayer will be your primary weapon against words meant to reopen old wounds. And you will wonder, where are the green pastures? Where are the still waters? Life prior to Christ was already dark, so at what point will I come to the end of this valley of the shadow of death? Sometimes it feels like I've been scammed, I'm not gonna lie. That I believed in a promised land without problems, a place of escape from a wicked world, when I abandoned my sin for adoption in him. And though he is my refuge, my heaven, and my safe haven, I've learned not to lose trust when every trial doesn't end in triumph. And Jesus gently reminds me that my story of salvation doesn't have any plot twists. There were no tricks, no gimmicks in the fine print. The Bible is blunt in its description of the life of a Christian. Hosanna was celebrated, then hated. The same ones who sung hymns, hung him, made an ornament out of his body as he dangled from a tree, mangled and bloodied flesh, beaten and bruised for you and me. This thorn is a constant reminder that we are in, not out of his presence. So I don't want to be passive with my faith, expecting access to the passage of peace that surpasses my understanding. I want to learn how to wait. So I will celebrate. I will celebrate this annoying, prickled, and pointed feeling that causes me to praise when I am persecuted for my beliefs, to sound insane when I say that the insults sound sweet, and if they demand my life, that I deny or die, staring down the barrel of a gun leveled with my eyes. I want to be found faithful among the shepherd's sheep, because I would rather have this thorn torment me temporarily than to be tormented for the rest of my eternity.